I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to have you here with us on the red carpet. Could you kick off with a brief intro to Young Woman in the Sea? People who don't know anything about the film, what can they expect?
This is the story about Trudy Edley, who was the first woman to successfully swim the English Channel.
And tell us a bit about your character and what the appeal for you was about jumping on board.
So I play Meg, so Trudy's sister, who is also a fellow swimmer, but sort of has to let go of her dream to and marry and fill the sort of societal roles that women had to do in the 1920s. And she sort of helps Trudy achieve her dream.
It must have been, I can't believe that I didn't know this story. Why she's not famous, the name, isn't sort of a household name. When you first read that script, what was most exciting to you about the project?
Exactly that. I was shocked that I didn't know who she was. So I felt really excited about telling the story of a woman that needs to be remembered and should be celebrated, even if it is belated. And I also fell in love with the story about the sort of love story between these two sisters. That just felt, really beautiful to me, and I feel really happy to be able to share that story.
And what about kind of the preparation? I guess it's maybe doing research around the characters, the era, but also the physicality of it with the swimming. So how was that experience?
Yes, I am Australian, but I did not know how to swim. I was much more of a read a book in the shade kind of child. So I had a lot of work to do to learn how to swim. So that was a very big part of the process. And then a lot of it was going back and learning about the 20s. It's such a different time in history, and it's a real period of change, particularly for women. So it was really exciting to sort of go back and learn about where women were at that time, and also how far we've come and how far we've still got to go.
And I guess as well, between the two sisters, Meg and Trudy, it's kind of the two different paths that you can end up taking. And in a way you could say, would Trudy have made it without Meg? So there was kind of a, you sort of need your family around you. And for one person to achieve something, you need a whole support network.
And I think that's the case for most dreams like that it takes a community of people to support you. So it's really nice to be able to sort of celebrate that. These dreams that people have and doing these extraordinary things, it often takes a village. And I think this film really supports that idea.
And seeing Daisy take on this role of Trudy and building that dynamic of sisters together, it must have been kind of intense, but an amazing experience as well.
It was so brilliant. I got to say, whenever someone asks, how did you find the chemistry together? And it was just, we were so lucky that we just really got along. So that was the best part of the whole experience, was getting to know her and getting to sort of celebrate with her.
And I read that she was actually a bit afraid of the water. So, I guess that it's overcoming lots of different fears in order to take on the role.
I think we both were. It was ridiculous casting that the two people that had to do most of the swimming was kind of terrified of open water. So we both had to get over some fears.
And what about shooting in Bulgaria? It's quite amazing how they've made it transform into 1920s New York and etc. But what was it like being on these sets, costumes, everything?
Extraordinary. I am in awe of the whole production team. The sets, it was wild. You were shooting, the set was halfway up a mountain in Sofia. And it was this snowy mountain, and then this complete replica of 1920s New York. So it was so wild to you could look up and see a snowy mountain, then look the other way and you'd be transported into a totally different world. It was very special.
What about doing all the accents? Because I realise you're all from different places. So were you all having to practice? Did you stay in character when you were kind of going off for your break?
I wish I was that serious, but no, I didn't. But we did do a lot of accent work together. So that was a really nice way of bonding too. We did all those classes together, me and Daisy, to sort of make sure we had the same sound, make sure we sounded like sisters, and yeah.
And in terms of the takeaways, it's just important to go back and retell these stories, I suppose. But there's a universal message there about, being tenacious and not giving up on your dreams and making sure that we do celebrate women in order to inspire the next generations. Whereas if we never talk about them, they won't be able to see themselves in their role models.
Exactly. And I really hope that this inspires young women to dream big and also to look back at women in the past that maybe has been forgotten and start to tell their stories.
And do you know what you're going to be working on next? Have you got next role lined up or not yet?
I don't actually. I'm in the unknown. Back to the world of... someone said to me the other day, "Oh, you're just taking a holiday." And I went, that's a much nicer way of saying unemployment. So I'm going with that.
Do you have on your bucket list a director you'd love to work with, a genre you'd love to try?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I'm a big fan of Yorgos's work, and Miranda July is a big hero of mine. Greta Gerwig. So many people, yeah. Completely. reading the book at the beginning, the first takeover was like, gosh, I'm grateful to be born in the era that I was born in. And it's so amazing to look back at these women, particularly Trudy, who doing this swim, I think, represented something so much bigger than just that swim. It really changed things for women's sport and women in general. And it's amazing to look back at those time periods. I think it's really important to do that, to sort of have an understanding of how far we've come and how far we still have to go. Probably so many that we would constantly say hot dog to each other. It was making us laugh a lot. So we said that was probably the end. I had a lot of learning to do.
Yeah.
And of course I got cast in the film. I remember the lovely producer Chad Oman calling me, telling me I got the role, and he was going, "That's so amazing because you're Australian, you can swim." And I was like, I had my 17-year-old brother to teach me, take me to the pool and start trying to teach me how to swim. And we're still pretty hopeless. And then we had the amazing Siobhan O'Connor. Yeah, she came and taught us when we got to set. So ours, like just little tiny pickles. But it was quite amazing to learn a skill as an adult like that. Like it's quite. I feel very grateful to have. I've had to go through the shame of getting in the kids' pool with the floaties until being able to feel very comfortable swimming. I would love. You know what? I really love being able to go and investigate another time period. I would do that again as a second. Oh, be one of the first or something.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I grew up in the circus. And I'm very passionate about all of it. I reckon it'd be something, probably a circus performer. I found that well growing up in that. Like it's a total accident that I ended up in film. I was sure that was going to be my life. And I find that whole world, particularly sort of back in the day, I find that whole world of carnival and circus so fascinating.